Hello and welcome into the show, everyone. I am Preston Poole. We have Tyler Adams here as well as Unadvised here on the Sports Animal YouTube, Facebook, and right here on our X account as well at Unadvised Pod. Give us a follow. Follow us as well at Preston Poole 405 at Tyler's Takes. T-Bag, before we get into anything, I just want to say you don't deserve what is happening with your football teams. You're a good guy. You don't deserve it. We've been working together now for 2-3 years, something like that. You don't deserve it. That's what I'll say.
I feel like I do. I don't know why. I just feel like this is something I do deserve for whatever reason. The Bears at this point is just focus on 25. We're on to 2025. Yeah. Don't break Caleb Williams and move to 2025. I was really confident today in them, and after the draw and Jennings scored that touchdown to go up 21-0, that game was off. We do have some minor breaking news here. Tulsa has a new football coach.
Really? Okay.
Trey Lamb, East Tennessee State. So 35 years old. 7-5 this last year in a turnaround season. So,
we'll see if the Golden Hurricane fans bitch about him being 30-something years old. We'll see if that happens. So, I'm just kidding. But yeah, you don't deserve it, even though you say you do. You don't deserve it. I mean, it's just bad football all around. And there's no place for that in this world, right? We need good football around here. And I mean, let's just rip the Band-Aid off. The last couple of days, you texted me on Friday. You said, stand by for an emergency podcast because I can't say that you and I were the only ones that thought it might happen. There were a lot of people out there like, could this happen? Will this happen? But the Oklahoma State Board of Regents gave Mike Gundy an ultimatum and a timeline for him to keep his job. Ultimately, they ended up agreeing on something. I don't know exactly what they agreed on. You might know, but they came to an agreement. We did not have to do the emergency pod, and Mike Gundy is still the head football coach at Oklahoma State. And I mean, just give me your thoughts on everything that's went down.
I mean, so we knew the Board of Regents meeting was coming. I think they announced that last Wednesday. Going to be a Board of Regents meeting. And I thought this whole time, I think everyone kind of did, it's going to be about coordinators. What's the money? Just Board of Regents meeting about coordinators. Scott Wright of the Oklahoman comes on our show for the OSU practice report and just says, I'm not predicting this is, and he says, I'm not predicting this is going to happen. I'm not saying this is going to happen. I don't believe this is going to happen. But I will say, I think there's a chance Mike Gundy's not the coach at the end of the day today.
Yeah.
And I was like, I was just shocked. And then I'm at home or I just get home. And my phone rings, and it's Kerry Murdoch. And I'm like, oh, no. I was like, what is Kerry here? And he goes, I need your instant reaction right now. And I said, to what? Like, what? What's going on? He was, oh, you haven't heard. He was so excited that that I haven't heard yet. He's breaking the news to me. Because it literally got reported 2 minutes ago by Pete Thamel that Mike Gundy's in. So in my mind, I thought Gundy was canned or he resigned, one of the two. So I had about a 10-second, just feel the emotions of Mike Gundy is not my coach. And then it's the Pete Thamel report of they're in a standoff, which is just a great quote to use for Mike Gundy in Oklahoma State, a standoff about contract negotiations. And then obviously, just things just go crazy and you see the 5 p.m. deadline and you think, man, this might just be happening. Mike Gundy might just be saying, I'm done with this. You guys are done with me. I thought the breakup was probably going to happen. If I had to guess, I probably would have said, yeah, it's going to happen. But also in the back of my mind, I kind of was like, they've done this before. This is not the first time Oklahoma State and Mike Gundy have gotten in the standoff. I mean, last time was 2020 during the Chuba OAN, all that stuff. I remember during then, we all thought, that was going to be the end of Mike Gundy.
Yeah.
But they obviously come to a resolution, as we all know. I don't know the contract details. They'll get public. They have to go public eventually, so we'll know soon. My guess would be he makes, I think, $8 million right now. My guess would be it's gone down to $6 million, and his buyout's gone from probably $25 million to $10 to $15 million in that ballpark. That'd be my guess of what it is. and then he doesn't have as much control as he would like. They're giving a lot more control back to the university, which I do think is a good thing. Because Mike Gundy, until Weiberg and Schrum came along in the summer of 2021, Mike Gundy was not in control. Burns and Mike Holden were. So I'm glad this all worked out. I want Mike Gundy to stay the coach at Oklahoma State. I've been very, very consistent on that all year. I want Mike Gundy to stay the coach at Oklahoma State. There's a few reasons. One, it's just this is not the way Mike wants to go out. This is not the way OSU fans want the Mike Gundy era to end. 3-9, bad. What would have been a bad breakup. That's not how you want this to go down. And I'll say, and so I have some buddies, who are ready to move on from Mike Gundy. There's obviously OSU fans that are ready to move on. This is what I say every time. There's going to be a day where Oklahoma State and Mike Gundy do separate. Like, that's obviously 100% going to happen, even if Mike Gundy coaches until his last breath. Like, there's going to be a day where Oklahoma State and Mike Gundy move on from each other. Why rush that now?
Yeah.
He is Mike Gundy. He is the winning coach in school history. He's by far the best coach in school history. He's the reason. I mean, obviously, Boone Pickens played a massive role in that. Boone made it possible. Mike made it happen. Why move on from that right now, this fast? He's on the hot seat going into this year. It's not like just because he's staying the coach for 2025 doesn't mean he's going to be the coach for the next 5 years. He's on the hot seat. Yeah, he has an affordable buyout now. He can't afford to go 3-9 again. He will get fired. Like, that's going to happen if he goes 3-9 again. So I'm glad he stayed, and I think one thing I've kind of always said this about Mike Gundy for the last couple of years, never really publicly. It's kind of like to my friends and stuff, and to my family. Like, we've been married to Mike Gundy, and Mike Gundy's been married to us for 20 years now. There's just going to be in any marriage, like how any marriage would be. Yeah. There's just going to be rifts on the way. There's going to be fights, but it's all about getting through it, and that seems to happen all the time. And every time there's a fight and a rift, Mike Gundy seems to rebound. So I think Mike is this is going to be like the homer in me coming out and like the let it out. I think Mike Gundy is going to go on the biggest FU tour we've ever seen.
Yeah.
I'm not saying next year they're going to be Big 12 champs or anything. They're obviously going to have to rebuild. It's going to be, another,
it's like a massive rebuild too. Like, it's not a small thing.
Oh. Yeah. So it's not going to be next year. Like, next year, it's like right now, if you could tell me, obviously we don't know what the roster is going to be. What if they kill the portal? We don't know. But like right now, it's like go 7-5, 8-4 and look competent, win a game you shouldn't kind of thing. Just rebound, make a bowl game, and then 2026, maybe that's when you can kind of take off again. But Mike Gundy is Mike Gundy, man. Like, if he does choose to adapt, because I think that's been the biggest thing is he hasn't chosen to adapt. If he does choose to adapt, I think he can adapt, and I think he can do this. And I just think he's just about to go on a big revenge, FU tour, and I think he wants to go out with the Big 12 championship. I think he wants to leave Oklahoma State in a good place. I think this has been proven time and time again. No matter how ugly things can get between Mike and OSU, Mike loves OSU at the end of the day. Like, he is, that famous, I don't know if you've seen it, Preston. I see it all the time on OSU Twitter. That famous video of Mike Gundy in the 2005 season for the hype video. He turns around and goes orange to the bone. Like, Mike Gundy is orange to the bone. Like, he has had chances to leave Oklahoma State multiple times. He's had chances to leave at Oklahoma State multiple times where no one really blamed him, 2014, 2020, this season. And every time he's not, I don't want to say beg and pleaded because I wasn't in the room with him, but he's wanted to keep his job at Oklahoma State. Yeah. He wants what's best for Oklahoma State football. And I do believe Mike Gundy thinks in his heart that he can turn things around and he can get this thing fixed. And he is the guy to do that. He does have to adapt. And I think that's probably a big part of the meeting that they had. They said, if we're going to do this, like, you're going to have to adapt. You can't go hire a D2 defensive coordinator. You need to go hire the best coordinator we can possibly get. You can't mess around in recruiting in the portal. You need to go recruit. Yeah. You need to go to the portal. We need
to go out. You need to spend money on NIL and stuff like that too. Yeah. I'm glad you
and we're
brought
gonna take
up.
$2 million off your contract for NIL.
Yeah, I'm glad you brought up the whole like marriage thing, because from an outsider looking in, it looked to me like this whole thing went down as obviously you have the board of regents and Mike Gundy. It's kind of like when you see the married couple on Facebook, one of them cheats, right? And then all of a sudden they have a joint Facebook account where they post all their stuff on the same account. There's no more separate accounts now, right? They've kind of molded this thing together. So
that's exactly what this is.
Yeah, they're both running the thing. So that's the way I look at it. And also, it's there. I don't know if it's good to force Mike Gundy into, playing the game that is college football now. He needs to want to do that, right? You can't just say, Mike, you have to go out and do this, because I don't think that's a good mix. I think he has to want to go out and do this stuff. Because I think that he can. He's got, one of the best personalities in college football, right? I mean, you think of Mike Gundy, you think his personality. So I think he's got the ability to go out and do it. Does he have the want to and the drive to go out and do it? And I don't think that's something you can just make someone do, especially, how tough it is to go out there and do all that stuff.
I don't think it's necessarily for him. I don't think it's necessarily like if he wants to kind of thing, because I don't think he wants to. I think if it was up to Mike, it'd be, you're not paying players and there's no transfer portal. That was his bread and butter, is bringing guys in and developing them for 3 years before they're a 2-year starter kind of thing.
Yeah.
I think it's one of those things where Mike Gundy knows he has to do it and he can do it and he will do it. I think that's kind of the thing right there. Is that a good recipe? I don't know. But I think we're about to see Oklahoma State do stuff off the field that we've never really seen when it comes to, like, I'm not saying they're going to be top 20 in recruiting or anything, but I think they're going to step up recruiting. I think they're going to hire some good coordinators. I have no idea who they're going to be. They hired a new defensive line coach today with some NFL experience, which I like. And so I think we're about to see kind of a new era begin at Oklahoma State, where this thing's going to be set up and it's going to be built for someone to come in and take it over at a really good spot. Because right now it's not a really good spot to take over. Someone would come in and take the job and could rebuild a bit. I think I don't know. I just think, like I said, this is just like the fan, the bias in me, the homer in me, just looking at the bright side, the positives only. I think this is going to be a really good thing, and I do think we're going to look back in 3 or 4 years when Oklahoma State goes 10-2 and is in Arlington or something. It's like, wow, like if that Friday in December never happens, are we here right now?
Exactly. And it's also one of those things where, obviously the first name you see thrown around is Zach Robinson, who's with the Falcons right now as their OC. I wouldn't bank on him wanting to come to college football and be a head football coach in college. He's on the track to be
He'd have to quit
NFL
the Falcons
head coach
mid-season. Yeah, he's in. Everyone's like, well, it's loyalty. It's loyalty. It's like, what loyalty? Like, he went to Oklahoma State. He loves Oklahoma State, but it's not like he's like here right now and he needs to stay loyal to it. He hasn't been to Oklahoma State since he was a player. It's like, so there's not really loyalty in it. I guess you could say maybe to a degree, it's like come save your program kind of thing. But like, I don't see. Zach Robinson. Like, I would love for him to come here one day. Don't get me wrong. But I just don't see that happening in the near future.
Yeah, no, he's been away from Stillwater for almost 20 years now at this point.
Especially another thing is too, it's like he's obviously a great coach. Like, he obviously knows what he's doing on the offensive side of the ball.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it's like college football. If you haven't been in the game of college football recently, you don't know what the hell's going on. You don't know what the hell to do.
Exactly. Yeah.
Like, how would Zach Robinson just come in here and instantly know what to do?
Yeah.
Yeah, so, he's in a good spot.
Yeah, he's
obviously
good spot
Oklahoma State. That would have been. I mean, obviously that would have been OSU's first call. Like, Rappaport tweeted that out today. It's like that was their number one interest. Like, no crap, that's gonna be the number one call. I just don't think from Zach's side it would make too much sense.
No, it wouldn't. Unfortunately, like obviously everyone would love a guy like that to come back to their alma mater and coach and lead them to success. But if you have the ability to be a head coach in the NFL. You take that 10 times out of 10 before you take a college job. So also another thing and this necessarily isn't like Oklahoma State. This is more so the fans, and I know you can agree as well. Why are there so many like fan accounts that, and every team has them, right? But it seems like for Oklahoma State, there's so many that feel the need to go out and put out reports when they don't know anything, right? Or nothing. And look, they might know Jimmy Joe in the athletic department who knows X, Y, and Z, who knows ABC, right? Okay. They might know that. I'm not saying that they don't know anyone, because Stillwater's not a massive town, right? People can run into each other and know each other. But to have 10 plus accounts go out there and just tweet out stuff that is clearly so wrong and false just is insane to me.
Yes, I'm not disagreeing with anything you said, because I'm like anti those people. I'm the number one person that instantly calls them out. I think it's like one of those things though, where it's like, I think everyone hears stuff when it comes to OSU, because like you said, it's like, it's a lot more tight-knit community kind of thing, smaller fan base, smaller town. Everyone kind of hears things faster. And everyone knows somebody kind of thing, or knows somebody.
Yeah.
Like, for example, I got 1,000 texts, the other day. I got phone calls about, like, from my buddies and stuff, about what they're hearing. And I'm like, oh yeah, you just I'll take it with a grain of salt. I'm not going to go on Twitter and report it. I'm like, okay, like that very well could be true. Like that very well could be true, but I'm not going to go on Twitter and like report it or anything. But yeah, I think it's just like one of those things where everyone's just like, well, I'm hearing from this because this and that. And, so I think it's just kind of like one of those things almost. But yeah, it's insane. And we had someone that comes on air at 2:00 that was just blatantly reading those as if they were the gospel.
Yes. Yeah.
So the morning animals will be having fun with that tomorrow. That's a guarantee.
And just like one morning show had someone saying that it was just eggs and bacon meeting up there with the board readings.
Yeah, that's right. yeah. Nothing's gonna come out of it.
Yes. So Richard on Facebook says, what about Eric Bieniemy? The issue with Eric Bieniemy would be that I think he's a massive product of Andy Reid being an offensive genius, because he's not worked out anywhere else he's been other than Kansas City. So, yeah. And there's a reason that he didn't get hired for all the NFL jobs he applied for. It's probably because he's not a very good interview. And it turns out that outside of, being next to Andy Reid, he's not the best offensive coordinator. I mean, he just got the can at UCLA.
Like genius right now.
Yeah.
I mean, he looks like a great coach right now because of Andy Reid.
Yeah.
Patrick Mahomes. So, yeah. Eric Bieniemy, no thanks.
Yeah, exactly. All right, we've got through the Oklahoma State talk, and let's move on.
I'm ready to move on.
Yes.
I'm just ready to move on from this whole season, this whole chapter. Let's hire some coordinators. Let's get some Christmas gifts, and get some transfer portal guys in. Let's get the ball rolling again.
Let's get into the college football playoff. How about that? Another highly debated topic.
Nothing controversial there.
I know. Here's what I'll say about the college football playoff. If you have a problem with a 3-loss team not making it in to the playoff over teams that A, played in their conference championship game, and B, only have 2 losses, get over yourselves. All right. There's 12 teams for a reason. And if you are not one of the top 12 teams in the country, you do not deserve to be in the college football playoffs. We're not going to go here and put Alabama on a pedestal because everyone on the 4-letter network and everyone on the 3-letter network are saying, well, it's Alabama. It's Alabama. I don't give a damn about Alabama.
Not Saban's Alabama.
Exactly. You know what Alabama did this year? They lost on the road to Vanderbilt 6-6, and they got their ass kicked in Norman, Oklahoma by the Sooners, a 6-6 football team. So you're going to tell me that the Alabama Crimson Tide are going to roll into the college football playoffs and have a chance to go win the whole damn thing? Miss me with that.
Yeah, and my least favorite argument of this whole thing is like they'd be favored in Vegas. They were favored by 14 in Norman. They were favored by like 18 or 19 or whatever it was in Nashville against Vanderbilt. You play the games for a reason. You don't play the games because of what Vegas says. You play the games, and the results in the field is what should matter. And I know SMU doesn't have the best strength of schedule out there. They went 11-1 Their one loss to a 10-2 BYU team who is criminally underrated. I don't think they should be a playoff team by any stretch of the imagination, but they've been critically underranked and underrated all season long for having a really good strength of schedule, strength of record, all of it, some good wins. Beat SMU. That's SMU's one loss, and you cannot set a precedent of what all these coaches feared going into it. If you're 11-1 and you're playing in a conference championship game, you cannot play to get punished. Like, if you lose a conference championship game, you should not get punished for losing if you're already in the playoff going into that week.
Yeah.
SMU was in the playoff going into this week. They lost because they were playing in a conference championship game. Every other team except 8 were sitting at home. And out of those 8, or I guess all of them are making the playoff except Iowa State. But 6 of those 8 had to, because Clemson would have lost. If Clemson lost, they weren't getting in. There were teams sitting at home that weren't playing in their conference championship game. We cannot punish a team for losing their conference championship game on a 56-yard last-second field goal.
T-Bag, all of them were close except the Big 12 championship game. Arizona State kicked Iowa State's ass.
Arizona State's playing great football.
Yeah.
And people are saying, like, why are they, and they're not one of the best 12 teams in the country. Yeah, they are. They're 100% one of the best 12 teams in the country right now.
They're won the Big 12. I mean, how are they not?
The last 6 weeks, dominated.
Yeah.
Yeah, like, it's just these are, and here my main gripe with all this is for years and years and years, we've been saying. I remember Boise State back in the day. I remember UCF a few years ago. Yeah. All these teams and stuff. We've been saying for years and years and years.
Florida State last year.
These teams deserve a chance to compete for a national championship. And then you put those teams in there, and they're like, oh, no, they don't have SEC or Big Ten on their chest. We can't put them in because their record's not good or their strength of schedule's not good. Come on. Come on. We need to stop being elitist in college football and just think about the recruits and think about, who all they played and stuff. And we need to start saying these are the 12 teams that deserve and have earned the right to play for a national championship. If you're Ole Miss, it's very simple. Don't lose to a 5-7 Kentucky team on your home field. Yeah. Don't lose to a 7-5 Florida team. Very simple. If you're Alabama,
football games is all you got to do.
If you're Alabama, don't lose to 2 6-6 teams. It's very simple. South Carolina was never going to get in. Once they lost that third game, they were never going to get into the playoff.
Yeah.
So
and we don't need 3 lost teams in there because there's so many 10-2, 11-1 teams this year. And by the way, college football has been amazing all season long because anybody can beat anybody on any given week, right?
Who's to say Arizona State can't beat any one of these teams in the playoff? Georgia went to 8 overtimes with Georgia Tech. Arizona State's better than Georgia Tech.
Yeah. No, 100%. I'm with you on that. The only and by the way, Alabama's athletic director coming out saying, well, this is going to change how we schedule our non-conference games. Well, listen here, bud. You want to know who you played in non-conference this year? You played Western Kentucky, South Florida, Wisconsin, and Big Bad Mercer. Okay, that's a murderer's row of non-conference games right there, pal.
Yeah, maybe if you would have actually scheduled, or not Tennessee because they're in the same conference. Maybe if you would have scheduled Penn State and you're out of conference, you won that game. Maybe you're in the playoff at 9-3 because you have a great out. Maybe that's just one more win to get you in. They got Twitter noted too, or community noted.
I did see that. Yeah, that was.
Yeah, he got community noted for that one. Yeah, I don't get it. It's going to go to 16 teams anyway, and then we're going to be complaining about the 20th ranked team in the country and 8-4, SEC teams. Like, they deserve to get in over 10-2 ACC or Big 12 team. Come on, guys. There's 12 teams. That's a lot of teams. That is
plenty enough. There's not 12 teams in the country that can win the national championship game.
Yes,
there's not.
It's like I'm sorry, Alabama went 9-3 and they're not making the playoff. I'm sorry.
By the way, they made it in last year.
We had a coworker of ours making an argument for A&M deserving to be in over Arizona State and Indiana.
Yeah,
A&M, 8-4 A&M. They're making an argument.
Not even ranked in the top 25, by the way.
It's insane.
Yeah, and if top 25 wins is a metric we want to go off, then Texas needs to be at like number 12, right? Because they have no top 25 wins.
They have no ranked wins. Ranked wins. But their strength of schedule. It's like their strength of schedule is obviously not good if they have no ranked wins.
Yeah.
But their strength of schedule is just because they're in the SEC.
100%. I mean, speaking of Texas, I had this conversation the other night with, I guess it was last night with Gideon and Matt during the Thunder post game. Do you think Texas has a shot to win the national title?
Yeah, I don't think they will, but I think they got a shot.
Okay, and I guess I didn't mean
teams.
it as yeah. I guess I didn't mean like do they have a shot, but like could you see them winning? And that might be the same question I just asked you. So
yeah, I wouldn't bet on them to win a national championship.
Yeah,
I
just look at them.
I seriously think Arizona State could beat them.
Yeah,
I think
Clemson look at them, and I look at Quinn Ewers. I'm like, he throws too many interceptions at bad times.
Yeah,
they make boneheaded plays like that. Just awful hit against that quarterback.
They're really undisciplined.
Yeah, and I look at that, and I'm like, could they? Yeah, but will they? Probably not.
Yeah.
That's just my opinion. And how about Penn State? Since we're going to get into this bracket now, how about Penn State losing their conference championship game and then just given the, and I don't want to say easiest because this is again the top 12 teams in the country. I do think SMU is a good football team. I think Boise State probably didn't deserve a bye. Is I'll go out and I'll say that. But Penn State getting SMU and then they win that one. They play Boise State and then they win that one. They're in the semifinals. It's absolutely nuts after losing to Oregon in the Big Ten championship game, and Oregon now has to play the winner of Tennessee and Ohio State. That's just insane.
Yeah, no. The one gripe I do have with the playoff, and I've had this before we even once we got the bracket, once we learned what the 12-team playoff was going to look like, 2 years ago, whatever it was. The one gripe I've had is you need to reseed just like the NFL reseeds as you go on, because Oregon they're the only undefeated team in the country, and they have arguably
they deserve a cakewalk to the playoffs.
Yes,
they do. They're undefeated conference champions.
They're the only undefeated conference champion. 13-0. They're the only undefeated team in the country, and they have a super hard path to get held to just to the semifinals.
Yeah.
So to play probably Ohio State or not probably they're going to play Ohio State or Tennessee, and I mean. I'd rather play SMU than Boise. I mean,
yes.
I think SMU or Boise could beat Penn State.
Yeah.
But if I'm Oregon, who's a better team than Penn State, as we saw last night, I'd rather have that schedule than Yeah. So
no,
they need to change it to where they reseed as you go on.
Yeah, no, 100%. I'm with you on that. But I mean, other than that, I don't have too many complaints. I think all the teams that got in deserve to get in. Maybe not Clemson, but again, they won their conference.
They won the conference.
So
what are you going to do? Put Army in over them?
Exactly. So even that, I'm like, well, they won their conference, so I don't really care too much.
One thing I will say too is they probably should have, since Clemson did win the ACC last night over SMU, they probably should have put Clemson at 11 and SMU at 12.
Yeah. I wouldn't have hated that.
Yeah.
I mean they're going to be on the road no matter what. Yeah.
Yeah. It's a difference of one seed. Also, SMU and Texas would have been, an old, Southwest Conference game in the playoff. Would have been cool. So,
SMU, Texas, a battle of old ass billionaires in the oil and gas industry.
Curtis had a great tweet today. Said SMU should thank OU and send them a wire with that infinite amount of NIL money they have.
And that's something we don't really think about now. Now that they're in the ACC, SMU is like a very affluent area in Dallas, a very, rich school down there. So they can start playing the NIL game and they could be pretty good for the future. So
OSU has a new defensive coordinator. Breaking news.
Okay. Yeah. Let's talk about it. Who is it?
Todd Graham. Okay. Interesting.
So where was he at last year?
Todd Grantham. Todd Grantham, not Todd Graham. Todd Grantham, Saints defensive line coach. Okay. Let's see. I'm going to his Wikipedia right now. He's an Alabama analyst for a year, so he knows the Nick Saban tree. Saints defensive line coach. Florida defensive coordinator from 2018 and 2021 under Dan Mullen. Huh. Okay.
So, I mean, I'd seen earlier that Mike Gundy was going to try and dip into the NFL type of tree and stuff like that. So it looks like with his most recent 2 hires on defense, that's definitely something that he's doing for sure.
Sorry, I'm all distracted now. Now I'm reading on the replies.
You're good.
Interesting. Huh.
So it looks like what
Okay.
Oklahoma State has a
Oklahoma State,
new defensive coordinator now. So all they have to hire is a couple more coaches. So they've hired a defensive line coach and a defensive coordinator, correct, now at this point. They need to hire an offensive coordinator. Is that all that's left?
yeah, we just need to get the offensive side. Wow. Okay. I got
There
it.
you go.
Yeah. All right. I saw I had a Twitter notification saying I see OSU's hiring. Yeah, I got it. I got it. Someone tweeted at me during that. Shout out to Donnie Teal.
Yeah, I see
Donnie
it right
Teal.
here. Yeah, happened what, about 20 minutes ago that happened.
Yeah.
Found his defensive coordinator and New Orleans Saints defensive line coach Todd Grantham. So they're getting a guy from the NFL ranks to come into Stillwater and coach the defense. So I obviously you never know, right, until it happens, right? But I mean, bringing in guys from the NFL that know how the NFL works and stuff like that, especially in an era where it's you got to pay players and stuff like that. I think that's probably a good thing because these guys know what it's like to have guys that are being paid to play and stuff like that. So obviously a lot of experience too if you're a defensive line coach or any type of coach in the NFL. So good for them. So we'll see what else comes from that. But yeah, looks like Oklahoma State has a new defensive coordinator.
I bought in. I'm bought in.
That's the way it needs to be, right? Someone gets hired to your team and you're like, you know what, damn it, this is the next guy. He's going to be good. And so on and so forth. I don't even know if we've had a chance, T-Bag, to talk about Oklahoma hiring Ben Arbuckle. Have we even talked about that? I can't remember. I think he got hired since the last time we did a show. So
I like the hire.
People were complaining, oh, he's 29. If that's the way the world worked, then we'd have a bunch of old grumpy ass people.
Kenny Dillingham's 34.
Working everywhere.
And he's a head coach in the playoff right now.
Yeah. And I heard Jim say this multiple times. Sam Presti was like 29 whenever he got hired in Seattle. So
you gotta start somewhere.
But as long as you know ball, man. I mean, come on. And hearing all the stuff he knows ball.
He's either going to be this is another thing too. This is what I've been telling OU fans when they ask me about it too. It's like he's either going to be great and everything's going to work out great, or he's not going to be good and you're going to be getting a completely different, entirely new coaching staff next year.
Yeah, exactly.
So it's really a 1-year rental for now. 1 year rental.
Yeah, 100%.
Rent to buy. It's a rent to buy.
Yeah. Maybe he brings in his quarterback material though. Yeah. I did see Darian Mensah just hit the portal for Tulane. So those guys will be two of the top quarterbacks in the transfer portal, and Oklahoma needs to land one. I mean, there's no ifs, ands, or buts. You got to land one of them. You got to go out and you got to land a bunch of big-time wide receivers. Obviously, a bunch of guys transferring out. I think the only big one so far that's hit the portal, obviously Jackson Arnold. But again, that's a thing where probably just needs a fresh start. Just needs to go start over somewhere. And same thing with Nick Anderson. Obviously, you can be very frustrated after a year where you just can't get healthy, and he probably just wants a change of scenery as well. So
I wonder. Yeah. This is a random thought. I wonder if Todd Grantham, OSU's defensive coordinator, he's a Saints D-line coach right now. I wonder if he's gonna just have to bail on the Saints.
If you're Mike Gundy, you tell him, I want you to bail on the Saints, and I want you in Stillwater as soon as possible. Yeah, because what the hell are the Saints playing? What the hell are the Saints playing for the season, anyways? Right?
Yeah. For Rizzy.
So that's right, and that's what a thing where he's probably going to lose his job anyways because Saints are going to bring in a new head coach, anyways next season with the interim right now. So, there's that. Anything else on the college football playoff before we switch over to the NFL?
No, I think we got it.
Didn't want to mention Oklahoma is set to take on Navy in the Armed Forces Bowl in Fort Worth, December 27th at 11 a.m. So that'll happen a couple days after Christmas. This is a Friday down in Fort Worth. Decent bowl game, I guess.
If Oklahoma, I don't know. It's time to have the conversation, Preston. The preemptive conversation. Is Oklahoma anti-American for wanting to beat Navy? Is this treason?
No.
No.
Look,
okay.
no,
That's not how I feel about it.
Shocker. I feel like this is the first time too we've had like an actual military school in the Armed Forces Bowl. Maybe it happens every year. I just don't pay attention to it.
I know West Point played in a couple years ago. So my buddy was on the team.
Gotcha.
But I mean that was 5 years ago. So
and you might be asking, Fort Worth, that's at TCU Stadium is where that'll be. Mm-hmm. So that'll be again December 27th, 11 a.m. I might since my parents live down there, I might try and go down to that, but probably won't, to be honest with you. Not gonna
11
waste
a.m.
my
Friday game.
Yeah, not gonna waste my time on that. Unless my mom's like, hey, I bought you a ticket, and I'm like, all right, I'll go. But yeah. All right, let's switch over to the National Football League. If I can get this thing to work the right way. There we go. On to the NFL games earlier today. Again, if you're just joining us for the first time, we're going to talk about every game that happened today. We might not go into like big detail about them, but we'll at least mention them. How about this first one? It was gross, disgusting. I don't know if anyone watched. The Jacksonville Jaguars beat the Tennessee Titans 10-6 in a battle of not good quarterbacks, not good offense, and it's just very gross.
Yeah, I hardly ever watched that game.
It's a game. I every week there's always a game, and we say it all the time, that's not on Red Zone. Unfortunately, this one had like too many like number one pick implications on it, so they were showing a bunch of this on Red Zone. So that's the only reason I watched any of this, is because Red Zone had it up every now and then because of the number one pick implications. But 2, 3, and 10 football teams, I am not watching ever. It's disgusting.
Yeah, especially when it's like, Will Levis played today, right?
Yeah,
I can't even tell you.
He got hurt at some point, but I think he came back.
Yeah, he came back.
Finished that out. Yeah. So
yeah. Like I said, like I had this game. I had Red Zone on one TV, but did not pay attention to.
Yeah. Mac Jones, the starting quarterback for the Jaguars as well. So, how about this one? An OT game went into overtime. A scoregami as well down in Miami as the Miami Dolphins beat the New York Jets.
Oh, that was scoregami.
It was a scoregami, 32-26. Nice. The Jets just need to fire everyone, and which they've already done, and just completely start over. By fire everyone, that means get the hell rid of Aaron Rodgers and ship him somewhere to where he can just go waste away at the end of his career.
Yeah, the Jets, man, they're so bad. Every time I think about how bad
them to win the Super Bowl this year, man.
Yeah, I took under 9.5 wins. So, I didn't think they'd be this bad. But I did not think they were going to be that good because of the Jets and everything that was just going off during the offseason with Aaron Rodgers potentially running for vice president and all this stuff. This did not seem like a good recipe.
We should have known.
Yeah, so the Jets are like kind of like my like. When I think about like sometimes like being a Bears fan, how much it sucks at times, a lot of the times, I guess. I always at least like look at the Jets and be like, well, they're not that bad.
Yeah.
Which is saying a lot. Because the Bears are not really good.
Yeah, and we'll get into that here in just a second. The Dolphins, though, put up 32 points. They are 6-7. Won't make the playoffs, but they at least turned it around a little bit since Tua has gotten back. So, how about the Atlanta Falcons taking on the Minnesota Vikings? And the Vikings just put belt to ass in this one and beat the hell out of the Atlanta Falcons.
Yeah, this was a definition of a belt to ass game. Sam Darnold and Jordan
5
Addison,
touchdowns, man.
Yeah, they went off. I was going against Sam Darnold in fantasy. We're talking about this a little off the air. But I had Jordan Addison on my side. So really the only difference between that was 11 points. So thank you, Jordan Addison, for deciding to catch 3 touchdowns today.
Yeah, he had 3 touchdowns, like 133 yards.
That was an ass win. The Vikings, they had a lull there for a second. They lost those back-to-back games a while back ago.
And we all thought like, oh, there it is. Those are the Vikings that we thought, and they've recaptured whatever they had to start the season.
Yeah, I mean, last week they had a close one against the Cardinals, but they found a way to win. But
Yeah.
they're still coming up big in some of these games, and today was another. Just they're good, and the Falcons are done. Do we say that yet?
Yeah, I think they're cooked. They're done. The birds are done. They're fried. How many interceptions did Kirk Cousins throw today? Because he had 4 last week against the Chargers. He has 2 today, so he's had thrown 6 interceptions the last 2 weeks, and no touchdowns. So 6 interceptions to no touchdowns for Kirk Cousins the last couple of weeks. So not a good look for Kirk O'Chains down there in Atlanta.
I got a lot of chaos going on in my house. I think someone just came over. I heard a hello, and I hear a bunch of people talking. So what's going on?
Well, we can't hear them, so we're good. How about the Saints and the Giants? Again, another gross football game.
Oh, this one was gross. This is actually a gross game that I watched.
Saints win 14-11.
I knew defensive coordinator.
11 points. There you go, right? But yeah. I mean, what's the name of the quarterback? I'm blanking for the Giants. Drew Lock. His first 8 passes were incomplete to start the game. The Giants missed. I think it was like got blocked. Okay, never mind. So they get a field goal blocked with time ticking down to go into overtime, and the Saints win 14-11. But yeah, just gross football game.
Yeah, this was a super gross football game. The missed field goal at the end was the block field goal was pretty funny though.
Yeah,
just watching all the Giants, just sad Giants fans, just accepting once again how bad they are.
And how about this game? Look, I'm not one to go out and pat myself on the back, right? But I was sitting on the couch this morning and I was thinking, I was making some picks and I was looking at this line on the Panthers-Eagles game, and it was the Panthers plus 13.5, and I was like, you know what? The Panthers have been playing pretty good football the last couple of weeks. Not winning football necessarily, but they've been playing pretty good football the last couple of weeks. Why don't I take?
They've been playing good football. Yeah.
Yeah. Why don't I take the Carolina Panthers plus 13.5? And boy, did I nail it right on the head, because the Philadelphia Eagles win 22-16. They're still undefeated. The Eagles are, since Nick Sirianni shaved his head. So that's a look they're going to have to keep going there. But the Panthers, they've been playing some pretty decent football the last couple of weeks.
They're playing great losing football right now. They won 2 games back-to-back against the Saints and the Giants. But then they lost by 3 to the Chiefs, by 3 to the Bucs in overtime, and by 6 today to the Eagles, with a chance to win the game there at the end. Yeah. So they're playing great losing football. This is what you want. Yeah, this is what you want. Bryce Young looks good. You're playing good. The future's looking a lot brighter than it looked, 6 weeks ago. But you're still retaining that high draft pick.
Yeah, exactly, 100%. And then the Browns Steelers. Obviously, this one happened a couple of weeks ago in the snow in Cleveland. The Steelers get one back in Pittsburgh as they beat the Browns 27-14. Browns stink, and the Steelers have 10 wins.
Steelers are really good, man. I took the Steelers today minus 6.5. I thought
no George Pickens today, by the way, either.
Yeah, and I thought they're going to come out and they're going to take care of business after losing to the Browns a couple weeks ago. So yeah, they went out and took care of business today.
And then the Raiders at Buccaneers.
Lock of the week, Bucks.
You had them minus 6.
First 6.5. First lock of the week win, I think, 6 weeks. I'm like, I'm awful.
Good for you.
Locks of the week.
Good for you. Yeah,
so
they
I finally got one.
It was close there for a little bit, though. I will say that.
When the Raiders were about to drive to make it 16-21 or whatever it was, something I forgot, what 17-20 maybe, whatever it was. I was like, no, and then the Bucks pulled it out.
They did. They win 28-13. They're 7-6 on the season. They might start running away with that division if the other teams aren't careful. All right, how about the Seahawks and the Cardinals going on right now? About 7 minutes left in the fourth quarter. Seahawks are up 27-18. I kind of felt the Seahawks would win this one, but again, the NFC West just continues to be just a division where they beat the hell out of each other.
Yeah, this is just an insane division right now. Seahawks, they own the Cardinals as of
Yeah,
recently. They are absolutely owning
yeah.
them. I think it's like 8 in a row or something for them. But Seattle or Arizona came out and instantly had that Kyler Murray deep ball to who was it that caught the touchdown? I'm gonna look at the box score.
Yeah, say I
Michael
did not
Wilson.
see
It was
that.
Michael
Okay.
Wilson.
Yeah.
It was at the very beginning of the game. Like, oh, Cardinals going to play. Then the Cardinals or the Seahawks just kind of took it over after that.
All right. How about the Bills and the Rams? This one kind of a little shocking. The fourth quarter just started in this one out in LA. The Rams up 10, 38-28 against the Buffalo Bills, who could be one of the best teams in the NFL.
Yeah. This is one of those games where I saw the spread, and I think it was around 6, maybe.
I believe you're
3.5.
right on
It was
that.
3.5. It was 3.5, or close at 3.5. It might have had some late line movement, but I was looking at it last night, and I was like, man, I really kind of like the Rams in this situation. Get cross country road trip. Bills been playing great. It seems like a spot for the Rams to come out and win, but they're taking care of business right now and just kind of whipping up on them.
Yeah, they are still up 10, and they have the ball in their own territory at about their own 30-yard line. And then this one, we don't have to spend too long on it.
No.
But we did say we're going to talk about every game, and that is the Chicago Bears out in San Francisco taking on the 49ers. And right now it's all 49ers, 31-13, just about a couple minutes into the fourth quarter.
I turned it off when it was 21-0 after the Juwan Jennings touchdown. So I'm not doing this today. I'm not doing this today.
Yeah, on to next year, right?
Week of football. I've had a long week of football. Don't break Caleb Williams. He's 17 for 22 right now, 134, 2 touchdowns. So looking, granted, I really watched him play all today, other than the first 20 game minutes.
Yeah,
but just don't break him. That's all I ask. Move on to 2025. This season's a complete wash. I did think the Bears were going to win today. I thought they were going to find a way to win. Yeah. I took a money line straight up. Yeah. The head coaching bump did not work.
I'm with you. I had him plus 3.5, and unfortunately, didn't look like that'll happen. So,
no.
All right. How about the game tonight? My Los Angeles Chargers in Kansas City to take on the Chiefs. Chargers 8-4, Chiefs 11-1. Chiefs 4.5-point favorite in this one. Look, Chargers will lose by a touchdown to 10 points, maybe a field goal. I could see that. 10 points, I would say at most they'll lose by. And that's the world we live in. The Kansas City Chiefs always win football games. There's nothing we can do about it. They've sacrificed something at some altar somewhere to where they've just got all this, good luck on their side. It sucks. I hate it. I put out a list of my most hated football teams in the NFL this morning. Number 1 was the Kansas City Chiefs. Number 2 were the schlubs out in Las Vegas, the Raiders. And then the team no one gives a damn about in Denver, the Broncos. So I hate the Chiefs. I hate Patrick Mahomes. I hate Andy Reid. And at 7:20 tonight, I'm going to think that the Chargers will probably win by about 14 points. But come about 10 o'clock tonight, I'll be in shambles because the Chiefs are going to kick a field goal to win the football game. And it's going to be like an 80-yard field goal with a backup kicker.
It's going to doink 6 times to get in. My analysis on this game, Preston. Jim Harbaugh special.
Yeah. Hey, look,
Jim Harbaugh special.
I would already do anything for the man if he went out and beat the Chiefs at Arrowhead on Sunday Night Football. I will die for him. I'll go jump off a building or something if he told me to. So we'll see that one tonight on NBC. The Chargers and the Chiefs. But I mean, just to think, if Harbaugh does go out and win this game at 9 wins, I mean, they won 5 football games last year. That just tells you how much of a smart, genius football guy that Jim Harbaugh is. But I'll shut up about Jim Harbaugh. All right, how about Monday night? Quickly, Bengals, Cowboys, gross. 2 teams that should not be playing on Monday Night Football.
Sorry, I just saw a report, but I don't have the subscriptions to that paywall. There is a report coming out that Mike Gundy's contract is now being made public. But I clicked on it, paywall, not paying.
Okay.
Yeah, the only reason this game is still on prime time is because the Dallas Cowboys bring in great ratings no matter what.
Yeah. I actually, you know what?
excited.
I think this is the Simpsons game, which I'm more excited for the Simpsons broadcast than I am for the actual
It is a
game.
Simpsons game.
It
is. I'll watch the Simpsons broadcast. I don't even know
Yeah.
what they're gonna do, but I'll watch it.
Yeah, 100%. I'll watch it, even though I don't think I have Disney Plus, so I might not be able to, but I'll figure out a way.
Disney Plus.
I think so, but
That's a problem.
find a way. Yeah, we can find a way to get around that. But yeah, gross football game. The Simpsons will save it though. Simpsons cast. I'll be watching that on Monday. All right. I think that'll do it for us. You got anything else before we put a bow on this thing?
It just kind of appears, that got 2 reports about OSU defensive coordinator coming in. Now we're learning details about Mike Gundy's contract. So I think the ball's in motion. For the official. Let's move on. Start fresh. So
yeah,
be looking out for those reports, and transfer portal opens tomorrow too for both OU and OSU.
I've already booked my flights to Vegas to bet the over on the win total for the Cowboys next year. So
it's gonna be like 3.5 or 4.5. Yeah. Mike Gundy's making a bowl game next year. I'm not saying that'd be great. His arrogant ass is making a bowl game.
Yeah,
he's not gonna let them not to.
I could see that happen. All right, we'll talk to you guys next week. Have a good one, everyone.